Hello everybody, Kathy here. Today I wanted to talk with you about some harsh truths revolving the whole digital nomad lifestyle. I became a digital nomad back in 2018 and I came from a very academic background. I did the whole corporate lifestyle, decided to drop it all, started making money online, and I'd say the way I was being a digital nomad back in 2019 is completely different to the way I'm living this whole digital nomadism nowadays. So I feel like I'm in a good position to tell you more about the realities of being a digital nomad and just also the expectations of what you can expect, especially if you're committing to this lifestyle for a longer period of time. Now, the first one being that you really need to be super disciplined with living this whole digital nomadism lifestyle. There is no 9 to 5 structure. There's oftentimes no boss unless you are a remote employee. There's no accountability partner. There's no manager looking when you're online, when you're offline. And it's all on you. I know even some remote employees that have got complete freedom and flexibility in terms of when they get their work done, when they are online and offline. So it really can be all on you. There's a lot of temptations. There's a lot of new places that you want to discover. Obviously, some places that you've never been to. You want to combine exploring new destinations, socializing and relaxing whilst making money online. So it really requires a lot of discipline. And some people do struggle. Some people do struggle to separate that whole work and travel from each other when they're offline and when they're offline. So it's super important for people to actually set up routines, set up working hours for yourself when you're online, when you're offline, when it's time to go and enjoy yourself. And it really does depend on your own schedule. Some people work better throughout the night and then they have the afternoons to go and explore. Other people set up dates throughout the months when they're fully online, and then like the second half of the month they're fully offline, or even in between days they say I only work 3 days throughout the week and then 4 days I take off. It really does depend on you, but you need to find that discipline within yourself to be able to balance it all out. And with that as well, the holiday feeling kind of really disappears very quickly when you become a digital nomad, because a lot of digital nomads have traveled before. They've traveled to different places, discovered new destinations, but it is a real difference whether you're living as a digital nomad who's making money online, who's on the road traveling quite a lot constantly, or even, if you just spend 3 months in a place, 6 months in a place, you are on the move much more frequently, and it's not a holiday. It definitely isn't. You are traveling full time and you're still having to handle your legal logistics, life admin that you have to do, and there is constant planning involved in it as well. So be prepared that it really isn't a holiday, and you need to, again, find that kind of balance, routine of work and travel. Don't just simply chase new locations. Instead, you want to build some kind of stability. Even if that stability doesn't come from your physical location, you want to build that stability into your own being and your habits and routines. And with that, you'll notice very quickly that you can be online almost at any point of the day. Nowadays, we carry our work with ourselves on our phones. So you have all your applications on your phone, all the notifications are turned on your phone, emails. You will realize very quickly that it's super hard to actually get away from work because it is so easy to be online nowadays, which can very quickly turn into a lot of overwhelm for people. I've seen it a lot of times, and you're not actually working less as a digital nomad because you are online most of the time. Whether you're a freelancer, whether you own your own online business, whether you're a remote employee, it is harder to be offline these days. I feel like people need to make an actual effort to be offline these days. And you can end up being glued to your laptop at all times. Even if you decide to work from your laptop at the beach, you might still be glued to your laptop. And you might have client calls, you might have Zoom meetings with people. So find again that balance within yourself, within your routine, within your days, to set those kind of boundaries so that you can actually enjoy this lifestyle. It's super important, and there almost doesn't seem to be any other way around this than to find that discipline and what works for yourself within your own lifestyle. So make that a priority from the very beginning, to be clear and intentional about this whole thing. Now, the other thing is that running a business while traveling is definitely not as easy as some make it look. You have unreliable internet that comes into play. You have weather that also comes into play. You've got places, especially tropical destinations, that have cyclones, that have heavy rains, or even, earthquakes, all things that can interfere with you actually running your business. You also have different time zones that you need to be thinking about, and making sure that you meet whatever deadlines you have, or that you can actually make meetings even if you are at the other side of the world. And also, one thing that is very apparent very quickly is the payment processes. So banks especially don't love that international lifestyle. Red flags appear very quickly if you're having payments that come through from various different countries. So you need to set up a business that is stable, that can move with you wherever it goes to, which is very oftentimes, setting it up also in a tax-friendly place that can run without you needing to constantly be on top of the administrative things around the business, and that can use multi-currency accounts from everywhere, that can receive payment from all of your clients no matter where you are, and make sure you have backup bank systems in place, because the banking thing is oftentimes what gets people into some tricky situations, especially as a nomad, and you just want to be prepared and make sure you have alternative options set up, because yes, banking can be a bit of a nightmare as a digital nomad. And these institutions, and you'll even know the legalities around visas and whatnot, slowly they're adapting. Slowly we've got solutions in place. Now we've got digital nomad visas. Now we've got banks such as Wise, Revolut, that do offer multi-currency accounts where you can send money between one country and another country super fast. But a lot of the traditional ones, or when you just left your home country, you probably still set up in the traditional way, and the traditional banks will for sure block whatever payment you're trying to process. So be prepared to set yourself up so that things function with you being wherever you want to be, and they're not being blocked by any third parties and interfere with your preferred lifestyle. Now, the other thing as well is that you need to keep in mind that your freedom as a digital nomad will depend on your income. And this is also going back to the fact that, some people have a really hard time to be offline, because you can be online at all times nowadays. And this also means that if you're making money only when you're online, you're gonna be stuck sometimes in this rut of like, okay, if I can spend more time on my laptop, if I can be online more, that means I'm making more money. Therefore, I can afford, better, bigger places that I want to go and explore on my digital nomad journey. So be very careful again around being disciplined, yes, but making sure that you actually get to enjoy this lifestyle, and that you set yourself up with different income streams that can guarantee a source of income even when you're not online. That is a really big deal that a lot of digital nomads don't think about, because I know a lot of digital nomads start out as freelancers. They get paid for the work that they do, for the project that they do take on, for the project that they're managing, whatever. They deliver that to the client, and off they are to find the next client, to get paid again, to fund their next travel. It's a bit of a vicious cycle. You really at some point want to maybe stop and take a bit of an overlook of your whole business life, of your whole income that you have, and think about, how can I set up some passive incomes? If I have figured out already how to make money online, how can I now switch to passive income to make sure that I don't need to be online all the time. I can go offline. I can really and truly go and enjoy this lifestyle without needing to be online all the time. So that's super important as well. And this ties into the next point that I've often observed, is that nomad burnout is actually a real thing. Not only does the burnout maybe happen around the whole needing to be online the whole time, or feeling that you can be online at all times, and that if you're online you can also make more money. The burnout also happens a lot of times around the constant travel, because remember, digital nomads are people that travel a lot. And yes, hopping from Bali to Mexico over to South Africa sounds super fun and appealing to many people, but at the end of the day, it is a lot of planning that goes into it. You need to plan your different flights, you need to plan the different time zones, when you can take meetings, when you can't take meetings, what days you're going to travel. Is it going to be throughout the week, or are you going to travel on the weekends? There's different flights that you're going to be taking, there's different time zones, there's also lost luggages to deal with, there's travel insurances to deal with. So it can be a whole lot to take up on. Normal people who have a normal lifestyle, who live in one place, who have their 9 to 5, when they go on holidays, they might be taking one big holiday per year. There's a lot of preparation that normally goes into it as well. Even if they just take one holiday, even going to the airport, landing at your new destination, a lot of times you might not even be staying at where the airport is. So there might be more train travel involved, buses, even ferries or whatnot, if you would like to spend some time in Greece, for example. So it can all add up to be a lot of organization, and you need to keep in mind that whilst you're organizing your constant travels, you also want to make sure that your business is still running, or that you can still make money online. So the reality hits for many people, and yeah, that whole nomad burnout is actually a real thing that I've seen people hit. And that's when you see, people just dropping it all. Either they decide, what, this nomadism thing isn't really for me anymore, like it doesn't work out for me, or you see people going fully offline for a couple of months or even a year, because they just get to the point where they need to slow down, or they realize that actually they like it better if they travel way slower. Slowmadism, as it is called nowadays, where you stay at least 3 to 6 months in one place to avoid that type of burnout of being constantly on the move. But even that, if you spend 3 to 6 months in one place, yes, it feels like less. Or even I've got a lot of clients who stay for 1 year in a place, who do get digital nomad visas that allow them to stay for 1 year in a place. But even that, at the back of your mind, you already kind of need to think ahead and plan in advance, especially if you're applying for visas, because these visa applications normally take 3 to 6 months oftentimes, if they don't have the best bureaucracy behind them. And then you already need to think ahead and avoid that kind of burnout, and not putting that whole organization thing all at the same time, and make sure you think ahead and take things into your own hands and set up some type of organization that works for you, whatever it is. Whether it is that you've got really great organizational skills, that you're on top of everything, great. And again, you need to set up habits, structures that work for you. And if you find that you're feeling too overwhelmed with all the travel, the good thing about this whole lifestyle is that you're really in control of things. At the end of the day, no one's forcing you to go and travel and make money online from everywhere, and for you to tick off all of the possible countries. It's all on you, and you're doing this for yourself, for your own, journey. And you can slow down. You are allowed to pick the best lifestyle that actually works for you, whether that's slowing down to 6 months at a place, staying in one place, or even 1 year in one place and then moving the next year, whatever works for you. Remember, you're doing this for yourself and not for anyone else. And you'll also realize with this whole lifestyle, I'm looking at my notes, by the way, that I've written out before, you'll realize that you might become a bit distant from your family back home, from even your old friends back home, because the reality is that you have to grow and adapt. Think bigger, you have the whole wild world as your playground now. Obviously, you're dealing with way different problems than your friends might be dealing with back home. They might even say, oh, those are luxury problems that you don't know where you want to spend next year in, where you want to travel to next year. So you might grow a little bit apart. And for a lot of people, that can be a very harsh truth to face, that you outgrow other people, that you simply have different lifestyle, where you can't compare or even talk about different topics anymore. It's completely normal. And even if you were to stay in the same place, in the same city where you grew up, it's normal to grow apart from people. So don't take it as like, oh, this whole lifestyle is ruining my life, I'm losing my friends. No, this is an opportunity for you to actually go and find like-minded people that might have a similar lifestyle, that might have similar problems now like you do them. So take this as an opportunity as well to grow your community, to grow new friends, and to grow with more similar like-minded people. Now, the last point being that obviously this nomad lifestyle isn't for everyone, and that's fully okay. If you're somebody who gave it a shot and who realized, you know what, after all, visa runs, flight delays, and language barriers is not really for me, then that's completely fine. There's no rules within this game at all. Whatever works for you. Obviously, consider that there's different ways of doing things within this whole digital nomadism term. You can consider slow travel, you can consider setting up a home base and traveling from there if you want to still travel, or doing some sort of part-time nomadism, which, a lot of retired people, especially I'm thinking about Canadians, who have decided to spend their winter months since a long, long time back in Mexico, for example, or Costa Rica, to avoid the dark and very cold winters. It's all possible, and it is truly, really what works for you at the end of the day. Remember, this is your journey, and you can decide when you want to work, when you don't want to work, when you want to go into work mode, and how you would like to approach this whole digital nomadism thing. Would love to hear what sort of truths you were faced with, if you are a digital nomad as well. If you want to become one, what is kind of holding you back? I'll obviously also be doing a video about the positives of being a digital nomad and why I've been doing it for so long. And would love to hear comments, subscribe and like, and I'll see you on the next video.